There are 4 different ways to experience Super Nintendo World at Universal Studios Japan. It's the newest, most popular area, and for good reason, since it's incredibly well themed. I'm here though because Universal does a really bad job at clearly explaining how to actually see it. So in this video, we'll first unpack those options in plain English, but also go through some general park tips, what to expect for any visit to USJ, and discuss the best rides to hit before the queues really build up. I absolutely love my time at Universal Japan and have been looking forward to giving you all a bit of an insight into our time here. So we begin with the fundamentals. A Studio Pass is the name for a standard ticket for USJ and gets you entry into the park. You can book this directly through Universal's own website, which I'll link to below in the video's description. Japanese websites are notorious though for not working with foreign cards, so as an alternative, out of all of the official agencies mentioned on the Universal site, Klook is the most popular, and for good reason. You don't need to swap vouchers, it's all done digitally on your phone, and once you're at the park, it all works exactly the same as if you'd booked direct. I'll link these alternatives below in the video description also. But once you have your Studio Pass, just be aware that this still doesn't guarantee access to Super Nintendo World. And the reason is because, well, it's really good. You literally feel like you've arrived at the Mushroom Kingdom. But because of this, it's really popular, and they have to limit the people at some point. So there are 4 different ways to enter Super Nintendo World. There's simply walking in without any extra ticket, an area-timed entry ticket, and a standby entry ticket, both of which are free, and the Express Pass, all of which we'll cover later. The best way for me though was just to arrive around 90 minutes before the official opening time. So if they advertise a 9 AM open, arrive for 7:30, as I did on the 2 separate days where this worked. The good news is that Universal almost always open their gates 1 hour before whatever time they state publicly. So if they say they open at 9 AM, they're probably opening around 8. So this meant I only waited 20 minutes before I was actually moving, and I was inside the park before 8 AM. Once through the gates and into the park, just head towards Super Nintendo World and you can just walk straight in without any extra ticket needed. All of this meant that we only queued for 5 minutes before sitting down on the park's most popular attraction, Mario Kart Koopa's Challenge. To do this, we just used the single rider lane, which I'll talk more about at the end of this video. On the second day when we visited, the wait was just 10 minutes to get onto Mario Kart. For context, we did visit during a relatively quiet, sunny day in February. So if you were visiting during a more peak period, you could of course arrive earlier at the park than the 90 minutes we did, just to be certain for getting in early. We also booked this super close hotel to help with the early wake up and avoid any busy morning transport. For just $45 a night, this place was an absolute steal and a peaceful 25-minute walk to Universal or a short bus ride away. Again, I'll link everything in the description below, along with a few more alternatives and via this QR code. So once Super Nintendo World has reached capacity with people just walking in, that's when they open up the free reservation system, which you can book a specific time for. These are called area-timed entry tickets. And once those reservations have run out, they then start the lottery process for the rest of the day. These are called standby entry tickets. So if for whatever reason you don't arrive early enough, or you arrive early and you just want to ride something else first, let's now show you how to get those free timed entry tickets. Before you even get to the park, it's best to register your Studio Pass into the USJ app to save time. The app is recommended anyway, since it shows live wait times and acts as your park map. Although the app process is pretty simple in hindsight, I'll still run through it here as it's a little confusing on first open. On the home screen, tap Timed Entry e-ticket, then tap Register Park Passes. Next, scan the QR code you'll have from your email confirmation, whether that be from Universal or Klook. Once your Studio Passes are registered in the app and you're inside the park gates on the day, you can now reserve entry to Super Nintendo World. Back on the home screen, tap Area Timed Entry Ticket, Get an e-ticket, then Super Nintendo World, select the people you've previously registered into the app, and then you just choose the time available. If you're doing this early enough and there's still availability, you'll just be selecting a guaranteed time to enter. Or if those are run out, you'll then be selecting a standby entry ticket. The only additional step here is that it's a lottery, so isn't guaranteed, and you'll get a notification an hour later as to whether you've won. As mentioned, I was here over 2 days and tried my luck both times at the standby entry ticket, just to see what things looked like for the evening. And spoiler, it looked pretty great. But for the standby lottery, one time I won and the other I didn't, so take that for whatever it's worth. Do note that you can only apply for the standby entry ticket once, so if you are unsuccessful, it's unlikely you'll be able to gain access. Since both of these options are turned on at various points in the morning, they may not be visible at first, so just quit the app to refresh and then they'll eventually appear. The final option then is getting an express pass. This is the easiest method overall and conveniently for you, the most expensive. Again, this can be booked through Universal or Klook. When booking direct, repeat the same steps as you did with the Studio Pass. Then, because Universal wanted to keep things simple, they now present to you 16 different versions of the Express Pass. I know, don't get me started. To simplify, all of these variations give you a shortened wait time at either 4 or 7 attractions. Some rides are assigned to you for a specific time, the rest can be visited whenever throughout the day. The reason there's so many options is that each Express Pass covers a different combination of rides included. So, to kill 2 birds with 1 stone, just make sure you select an Express Pass that includes a Nintendo ride, which in turn gives you that guaranteed entry to Nintendo World also. If you select an option that doesn't have a ride inside Nintendo World, you'll still need to go through the timed entry ticket options as before. But for the sake of ease, the top 2 Express Passes I'd recommend are either the Express Pass 7 Variety, which is the most expensive, or Express Pass 4 Variety Thrill, assuming you enjoy thrill rides, of course. I'll cover some non-Nintendo rides later if you want help deciding which are the best. The main issue with the Express Pass though is the cost. Your standard Studio Pass is around $55, but the Express Pass can be an additional $115 per person. As to whether that's worth it, well, I'd say if you're going on a projected busy day, or it's a once-in-a-lifetime visit, and you really want it to be as stress-free as possible, then yes, probably. Otherwise, probably not. I visited on a Wednesday in February and was able to do everything on my list, so it certainly isn't essential. But even if you can justify treating yourself, the next issue is availability. In short, you should be booking at least 6 weeks ahead to have a decent chance at grabbing one, with the furthest pass being released 2 months ahead. What makes things even worse though is Universal's pretty poor UI, which means you can't see Express Pass availability at a single glance. You have to select a Studio Pass for a specific date first, then check if the Express Pass is also available, and if not, you need to go back, delete the Studio Pass and start again one date at a time. Big fail. I never understand why companies this big can be so stupid with their user experience, but anyway. Also, in a similar vein, I should add, just because it confused me, disabled simply means the Express Pass isn't an option as it doesn't match the date of your original Studio Pass selection. So once you change the date for your Studio Pass, it will now show availability for the Express Pass on the new date you selected. Also, as a quick final tip on this topic, do be aware that Klook seems to have a separate availability for Express Passes, so even when it's sold out on Universal's site, it may still be available elsewhere. You can also see availability at a glance, which is nice. So to sum everything up in one single paragraph, if I was to visit again, I'd just get there early, either 90 minutes or 2 hours prior, and just walk in. Remember, USJ typically opens 1 hour before officially stated, so 90 minutes isn't as much of a wait time as it sounds. But even if you arrive on time for when the gates open, it should be almost guaranteed within the first hour to simply grab a timed entry ticket. If you're happy spending the cash though, the Priority Pass obviously takes away any worries. Again, all ticket options and nearby hotels discussed in this video are linked in one single free PDF via the QR code or down below in the description. I'd like to end with a few tips and thoughts on enjoying Universal in general. Firstly, I'd really recommend using the single rider lane for any ride that supports it, and you can easily filter where this is within the app. But for example, it turned the Mario Kart ride from a 50-minute wait to a 10-minute wait, the Jaws ride from a 25-minute wait to a 5-minute wait, and saves several hours overall. And call me strange, but even if it splits you up from your partner, I'd personally rather ride something 2 or 3 times over and then talk about it over a coffee, rather than ride it once and be sat together. Please don't come at me though if your other half doesn't agree. Ultimately though, it was the single rider lane that meant we were able to achieve everything on our must-do list in one single day. And the second day then was just a greatest hits tour and a few bonus attractions at a leisurely pace. So although you don't need to buy a 2-day ticket as we did to do everything, it still worked out cheaper than the express pass would have and lasted twice as long. Unlike Tokyo Disney though, where the wait times were almost always accurate, I found they would more frequently over-exaggerate here. A 70-minute wait turned out to be 20, a 3-hour wait turned into 90 minutes, so just keep that in mind. I'd also advise favoriting the rides and shows that you're interested in within the USJ app before getting there. This made it so much easier to find attractions and shows once we were in the thick of things. As for my personal highlights, other than Nintendo World in general, the Flying Dinosaur was easily my favourite ride. You're pretty much facing down to the ground, feeling like you're flying, with the G-force being super immense, and it was so much fun. Just make sure you have your lunch afterwards. I'd ridden the Harry Potter Forbidden Journey ride before, but it continues to be top class, so shouldn't be missed. And if you're around at the right time, the Frog Choir a cappella just outside was also really enjoyable for what it was. The Yoshi ride is a slow kiddie ride, but good to relax and take all the Nintendo goodness in. And the Mario Kart ride got better the more I rode it, which was 5 times in total over the 2 days. It's probably best enjoyed though with a power-up band. These are basically NFC readers which allow you to pair up your app to the Mario Kart race you're in. During the ride, for example, you're awarded badges as you complete certain tasks, so it gamifies the ride and as a result makes it more enjoyable. There are also mini-games splashed around the world which would probably be better for kids, but for me, I couldn't justify the wait times for what they were, and after completing a couple, I felt I got my fix. There are also hidden sprites and blocks scattered around the world to find. It's a unique addition that makes exploring the area more enjoyable. Overall though, the Super Band certainly isn't essential, but was fun to play around with and feel like a tool whilst doing it. You can purchase these bands from multiple places, with the first stalls you come across having the longest queues. I found the quickest way to purchase was the Mario Motors shop right next to the ride itself. These aren't on display but are behind the counter if you ask. For more monkey action, please check out these videos from my time at Tokyo Disney, as well as 48 hours in Vancouver. Until the next one, thanks for watching, carry on monkey. Wah.